Oh my God, Anita.
Hello, welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I am Willie Bragg. I would have done a video this morning, but I had to get some sleep. Not that I want to give you every sort of detail about my life, but I had to get plenty of sleep since I work graveyard shifts. I had to get up to go to the pharmacist to pick up my medication at the adequate hour because it was too early. So I just finally got around to making this video, and I'm going to make it brief because it's just something I just been thinking about with the Supreme Court lately, with the overturning of Roe versus Wade and the overall culture war that's being waged, because the Christian right, it's been a thing for a long time, but starting in the 70s, and it really set its foot in 1980 with the election of Ronald Reagan, and is still here to this day. But I thought it was dying. I thought it was like around the time George W. Bush's presidency was coming to closing its final chapter. I thought that this social conservatism on steroids was coming to an end, and it almost appeared that conservatism was kind of flirting with in a more libertarian direction. And I think that there are conservatives, a great many conservatives, that are flirting with libertarianism, but then there is a resurgence now of extreme authoritarian conservatism. And there are attempts to try to not just set the clock back to the 1950s, but I think that there are attempts to really just go ahead and to take America way back. And I think that they want to turn us into something akin to a Christian Sharia. They are called the American Taliban for a reason. And so, as I said, something that I thought just kind of was fading away during the days of George W. Bush. And it's probably one of the reasons why I dislike George W. Bush even more than Donald Trump is because the religious right was a bigger threat to civil liberties then now. But then it makes you think with the Supreme Court decisions and the packing of the courts recently by Donald Trump and a lot of the chicanery, not even before Trump, and with Merrick Garland in the last year of Obama's presidency, with Justice Scalia's death and the maneuvering and skullduggery of Mitch McConnell, basically postponing the seating of a court justice just to go to fill it, just in the hopes of a Republican president to go and stack the courts. And then when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, he reversed it and couldn't wait to get Amy Coney Barrett into the courts. And so right now, as far as I'm concerned, there are two judges that needs to be removed from the court right now under those circumstances. And I don't recognize them in the court. They're illegitimate judges as far as I'm concerned. I am on the fence whether we should stack the courts, but because that could have ramifications, because what if we stack the courts right now under Biden and we get Ron DeSantis? I mean, that could be disastrous down the road. What I would favor is a middle ground, like maybe term limits for judges, 10-year term limits. Something's got to be done to put a stop to the right. This nonsense started with Ronald Reagan, the way he altered the courts, I wish the picture was a little bit bigger, but that's a Ronald Reagan hanging out with what would be the Taliban taking over Afghanistan back in 1985, and basically it says these gentlemen are the moral equivalents of America's founding fathers. Ronald Reagan, 1985. That's what he said about the people that were involved with the World Trade Center bombing. They themselves were not involved with them, but they housed what was the Al Qaeda network, Osama bin Laden, that lot, which were tied in with the Bush family. Never ever forget that as well. And then they ended up calling anybody that opposed the Republicans as terrorist lovers. They made a culture war out of everything. Everything you can imagine. Economics. They anything from taxes. That tax policies that favor the rich. It's an attack on capitalism, which was ordained by God, as far as they're concerned. Universal health care, Medicare for all, that's the work of the devil. Jerry Falwell claimed that socialized medicine, if was implemented, would it be rewarding gay people with AIDS and it would be just encouraging homosexual behavior. Not that there's anything wrong with quote unquote homosexual behavior, but that's the kind of thing that these people were saying back then. Everything is a culture war issue, everything is. So on economics, they want everything to be the way it was in the 1950s, but what about when labor unions were 1/3 of the workforce? Oh no, we can't have that. We can't have 1/3 of the workforce in a labor union. We don't even like 10% of the workforce in a labor union. We'll like it better if it would have been like it was under Pinochet in Chile, and it would have been 0% of the workforce in the union, which we just don't want America to be Catholic just like Chile. That's basically these people. This is the religious right logic. Let's see here. The social issues. It isn't just not enough that they want to go and overturn Roe versus Wade and leave it to the states. They want to punish people who are living in states where it's banned and where they go to another state where it's legal, and when they come back, they go and prosecute them or forbid them from leaving a state to go into a pro-choice state. They want a national ban on abortion. They want to ban contraceptions in all 50 states. They want to go and outlaw same-sex marriage, get rid of it. Lord knows what else they would like to do. Lord knows where else they would like to carry this sort of thing. If this sounds like the shit they do in the Middle East, in places like Saudi Arabia, you'd be right. But instead of worshiping Allah, they're worshiping, Jesus. Again, nothing wrong with worshiping Jesus, nothing wrong with worshiping Allah. I'm a lukewarm Christian, but what I'm basically saying is that these people want to impose their will, just like the Taliban and just like ISIS and Al Qaeda and all those motherfuckers over there in the Middle East, the Christian right, the evangelicals, I mean, they want to shove their religious beliefs down people's throats, and they claim that the godless secular humanists are trying to impose their will. There might be a few militant atheist assholes in their demeanor that may be obnoxious about what they believe in, but you know what? I don't know any atheists out there that they're trying to sit there and outlaw Christianity or any other religion, I mean, honestly, I mean, nobody's stopping it. I don't know anybody stopping anybody from going to church on Sunday. And don't give me this COVID nonsense. That was a public safety issue. Anything dealing with foreign policy is a culture war issue. When America got invaded attacked on 9/11, they tried justifying the Middle East wars, going into Afghanistan and going into Iraq as a war between Christianity and Islam. They try to make a culture war out of it. I remember it was done like that a whole lot in 2002 and 2004 among TB evangelicals, and they carry on that shit into the 2008 election and actually on into the 2012 election. Now, even among conservatives, among certain sections of the right, war has kind of fallen off favor, but just anything else, some things can set the things off again where they'll be all ready for war. Remember, the neocons, some of them may have left the Republican Party because Trump was too icky for them, but some of them are still in the Republican Party, yapping away. Many of the evangelical Christians, TV pastors, and preachers are foreign policy neocons. They still favor the Iraq War. They favor the Afghan invasions. And when it comes to the Israel-Palestinian conflict and Israel itself, the one thing they're sad about with Israel right now is their Lord and Savior, Benjamin Netanyahu, is no longer prime minister because they were sucking his cock hard during the time he was the prime minister of the country. Everything is a culture war with these people. Everything is a culture war. I mean, you could take the subject of orange juice. They will make it a fucking Republican versus Democrat issue. And I don't want to make it a Republican versus Democrat issue because they go after the independents. When they say Democrats, they even mean independents too. I mean, so that's really what it comes down to. And I just, and what is the culture war? It is a way, and I'm not even a practicing Marxist, but Marx said that religion is the opiate of the masses. Well, that kind of becomes true when you think about the religious right, religion being the opiate of the masses. As I said, I'm not a practicing Marxist, but in certain cases he was onto something, because let me get this photo out of here. Getting back to what I was saying, he was onto something, and basically it was this: the religious right uses the culture war. Why? And the Republicans uses the religious right, and they work hand in hand. Because what do they have to offer? The Democrats don't really have to offer. Democrats don't believe in anything. They believe in everything, yet they believe in nothing. What do the Republicans have to offer? Tax cuts for the wealthy that you and I and most people, even many Republican voters that vote against their self-interest, economic interest, will never be able to benefit from. But why? Because Donald Trump and Republicans, and let's face it, Donald Trump don't give a damn about God, gays, or guns. He's a grifter motherfucker. But he's going to stop those icky gays from getting married. That's what they believe. Let's see. That's what motivates them. And then let's see what else. Issues. So the tax cuts. We got to go and vote for those tax cuts that they never benefit from. Deregulation. That makes workplaces more dangerous, or it goes and makes things cheats consumers. Again, who gets screwed? Workers, and consumers. Some of them vote Republican because they're going to go put prayer back in school. That's what counts, to these people. Let's see what else. Union busting. Talk about being against your own interests, against wage increases, against unions. And there's a lot of the never mind the Donald Trump rhetoric about bringing jobs back. That populism talk is just rhetoric by everybody these days. They're all for free trade behind the scenes, Democrats, Republicans alike. That goes back into the 80s and 90s. That's unfortunately here to stay. Very, very, very few people from both parties believe in it. Maybe Donald Trump believe in it himself, but the rest of the Republican Party believe in outsourcing very strongly. So when it comes to union busting, why the fuck a lot of people voting Republican in that regard, and wage increases. They're voting against their own self-interest. When it comes to entitlements, Social Security, Medicare, VA benefits. Again, we're all going to get old one day. We're going to need our Social Security and our Medicare. I favor Medicare for all. I favor a national health service, to tell you the truth, like they have in the UK. However, how in the world can you be a Republican if you're a poor or middle-class person and vote Republican knowing that they're working every step of the way to take away your Social Security and your Medicare? I'll give you the example of my dad. My dad's a Republican. My dad, but he knows some of them are bullshitters too, because in order to pay for that fucking Iraq war, what do? They go and do things like cut back on VA benefits by making a means testing program. So my dad makes too much money, so he won't be able to get some of that public health, free health from or low cost health. As a veteran. He's a veteran. He was a former U.S. Naval lieutenant. He won't be able to get any of that because of the means testing for veterans, because he makes too much money. Why? Because there was a war in Iraq that Bush and Cheney wanted to pay for. So everything from foreign policy, torture, Iraq invasion, supporting Israel without questions, even the shitty things that they do, which is ironic. They hate socialism everywhere except for Israel. I guess they hate socialized medicine in Israel too, but they overlook it. But let's see, they made everything, God-gazing guns domestically, labor unions, universal health care, whatever, everything is a damn culture war. And it's really frustrating. And we're never going to get anywhere. It's just, like Ron Placan said today on Status Quo. I was watching Status Quo earlier today, and he says, the thing about it is other countries got problems, but, what do they talk about in Europe and places like England or France? Oh, yeah, we got a new high-speed rail that takes you from London to Paris, and I'm paraphrasing him, in half the time that it was taking previously. Oh, what's going on here in America? Oh, Ron DeSantis decided to ban 55 math books because there was some tiny little reference to what he might think was critical race theory. This is what we live with. This is the reality we live here in the United States. Again, you got John Hagee, Pastor John Hagee, who preaches against socialism, and that's a major person that influenced the Republican Party, versus the late Tommy Douglas of Canada, who made sure everybody was able to get health care. You got a Scottish-born Baptist preacher in Canada who fought like hell for many years to make sure everybody have health care. He's the reason everybody have health care in Canada. You had Jerry Falwell telling everybody that Hillary Clinton's shitty health care plan was socialized medicine when it wasn't, and telling everybody, gays with AIDS are going to get free health care. That's why we must oppose universal health care. This is kind of shit. This is reality of America, folks. This is the reality. And the Supreme Court is going to give us more of that. It's going to give us more of that. And what did Hillary Clinton do? Blame Bernie Bros. Hillary Clinton's the reason we got Donald Trump. Her husband convinced Donald Trump to run for president. Never forget that. To try to disrupt the Republican Party from within. And then Donald Trump backstabbed the Clintons as they were cheating Bernie. And we're in the mess we're in now because of it. we have here on the chat line, and I know this guy here. Hey, how are you doing, Barry? I know your real name, by the way. How are you doing, Barry? I am going to work right now, but I wanted to make a quick video and get this kind of out of my chest and all that. So everyone, if you happen to like what you've heard, hold on just a second before I finish. Barry, we do have to talk. I've been wanting to talk to you. So you know my number. Let's go and give me a call. Well, I like to talk to you. I'm going to conclude now with this program. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. Comment any ways you disagree with what I have to say. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we're the muckrakers of our time. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. And remember to support independent media because, you know, corporate news basically sucks. I mean, it sucks ass, and we all know that anyway. So I'm going to conclude by saying to you all, music. Take care.